world champion and world record holder in the sport of freediving, which is breath hold freediving. And William remains the first and only man to dive to a depth of 100 meters or more, unassisted, completely unassisted. He is the director of Vertical Blue, a company which brings freediving to the world, based in the Bahamas here. And William is an author and also an amazing man who's really bringing awareness to the world around nature and how important the oceans are and what's happening within the oceans and the wildlife, etc. So he's a wonderful ambassador, and we're just super happy to have you here, mate. So, so we've got the ability to break the pattern of negative thinking, right? We've got the ability to break the pattern of negative emotions, and to be able to catch ourselves doing that, it's good to practice on a regular basis, becoming more present and more aware of our internal dialogue. And you've recommended meditation, you've recommended some mindfulness. What's your practice of meditation? Are you taking the time to just be and sit on a daily basis, or have you got to the level where you're mastering that and you're practicing that in every moment, and you don't necessarily need to take the time to sit down and focus in on your breathing for 30 minutes every day?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't call myself any kind of master at it. And I think part of the an important attitude to have in any of this kind of practice is to always approach it like a beginner, to always feel like there's more that you can learn and more that you can, deeper than you can go, essentially. Because the moment that you feel like you've arrived, you've achieved some kind of a state, then that's when you become complacent, of course. So yeah, I'm always trying to work on it and to become more attuned, I guess. But there's periods when I do have like a dedicated meditation practice, but a lot of the training I do for freediving, you have to essentially go into that same kind of state in order to perform well in those exercises. Not necessarily just the depth diving, but like this morning I was doing these tables where I'm training tables, exhaling all the air from my lungs, holding my breath as long as I can. And when I can't hold it anymore, I take a breath in, exhale out again, and carry on holding, and trying to relax and actually enjoy that state despite how kind of how much your body, your organism is crying out for oxygen.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, even those kind of most extreme circumstances, like the kind of the will to live or the will to breathe, you can even treat those even as just information that's coming in from the outside. So whatever the stimulus is, whether it's pain or negative emotion, negative thought, or in this case, kind of suffocation, you can still, there is a capacity to treat that just as information that's coming to you, that's coming to your awareness, right, and to not react to it, to not let it kind of make you panic. And so that's what I work on when I'm training, and it requires the same kind of skills as meditation and mindfulness practice.
Brilliant. So we have Joan Kozak, who's just dropped the question in here, and Joan is asking the question on, how do you really focus with meditation? So when you're taking the time to meditate and you practice that, how do you stay focused? What's your technique for that?
So it's important not to kind of beat yourself up when the thoughts start to wander when you're meditating, which they inevitably will. You'll notice you'll be sitting meditating and you'll kind of realize that for the last minute or period of time you've been thinking about something that you've got to do tomorrow, and that can make you, of course, angry because that's not what you're supposed to be doing at this moment, and so then it can take you down into kind of I can't do this, this is too tough, or it's no fun, or kind of negative thoughts, and just the important thing is just to, in those occasions, not let yourself react again. And that is the practice, basically. So each time that you realize that you're not purely kind of just experiencing and pure awareness, you're actually having some kind of a thought and going down a train of thought, then just bring yourself back either to your breath or to the state of noticing what the thought, what thought you had. So
Got it.
identifying with the person who is listening to that thought, or the entity, the awareness inside yourself that's listening to your thoughts.
Excellent.
And staying present there. So the way I kind of summarize meditation or mindfulness, it's presence in awareness and awareness of presence, both at the same time.
Wow. Presence and an awareness, presence and awareness, and awareness in presence. Excellent.
Awareness of presence, yeah.
Yeah, and so the opportunity really is to be that all the time, and that's what we, if there is a goal, but that's what we aim for. That's what we go for. Is, you know, how do we take that into our everyday? How do we take that into the office? How do we take it home with us and be present with our families, and just allow that to be. And then obviously we're being super productive from that place because we get out of the way of ourselves. So
yeah. So I'd like to just clarify that it's a tool that you don't, like, I wouldn't say you want to stay in that state.
Sure.
It's not, that wouldn't be productive either, but we need to be able to access that state, to be able to kind of switch off the rational mind when we need to. And also for those of you who, for whom creativity is important, I feel like that state allows us to silence the kind of the chatter of the mind, and that gives us access to the deeper state, the subconscious. And that's where creativity seems to come out of, is it kind of bubbles up from deeper down in your subconscious. So being able to just slow down and stop the rational chatter allows you access to that as well.
Great stuff. So we've got one last question here for you, Will, from Pedro Aron, and it's an excellent question. Look, you know, you're hitting goals that people have never achieved before in the history of mankind. So his question is how do you manage to be able to overcome a challenge, which is often perceived as only as being an imaginary goal? So how do you hit this such large goal? You know, if we were to dream big and hit a big and dream big and say we want to hit a big goal, either financially or whether it be in our family life or whatever that is, how do you go about hitting such a big goal like that?
Yes, great question. The way I understand it is, it's like, how do you do something that seems like it's impossible, seems like it's outside the realms of...
Correct. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the pieces of advice I often give about goal setting is that it seems to make a big difference, at least to myself and to other people who I've taught this to, if you actually keep your goals to yourself on the most part. So goal setting, I think, is really important, but broadcasting your goals, I feel like detracts from you being able to achieve the goals. And let me explain that. So when we set a goal and then we tell our friends or colleagues about it, oftentimes they will give us positive feedback on the fact that we've set that goal. So like, let's say I want to go to the Olympics in 2024 in Los Angeles. And I tell everyone, I'm training to get to the Olympics in 2024. And they'll say, that's amazing. You can do it. We believe in you. And you're getting this positive feedback, which on a biochemical level, it releases dopamine. So it gives you that kind of satisfactory feeling. But to date, you haven't done anything to achieve your goal. All you've done is state it. And so getting that positive feedback so early diminishes your motivation or your drive in order to actually achieve the goal itself. Whereas if you keep it to yourself, if you don't tell anyone about it, the only way that you can actually get that reward and the satisfaction and the accreditation and everything is by achieving it. And so the analogy I use is like if you've got a furnace, burning away. If you have to keep the door on that furnace closed in order to build up the heat enough so that you can shape iron. In the same way with our goals, we have to keep them to ourselves so that we burn, like get that kind of motivationary burn fire going a lot more inside ourselves in order to be able to reshape who we are so that we can achieve that goal. And this applies to the goals that are perceived as impossible even more so, because yeah, whatever feedback you get, whether it's positive or if it's negative, it's still negative because people are going to be telling you, oh, that can't be done. And so you start to doubt yourself. In both cases, it's better just to keep it to yourself, work with all the passion and motivation you have, and that fire will burn, I feel, more strongly for it.
Amazing. That was just fantastic. Awesome. We actually have one more question. Is that all right, William? Have you got time for that?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, great. So one more question. It's Mr. Nottage, Sean Nottage, used to be a competitive swimmer, actually swum for the Bahamas at the Olympics. And wow. He's saying here that he understands the hypoxic state, which, you know, where he was swimming. He thought as a swimmer, that was the only where he thought that was possible. But now he understands that, you know, there is another sport where hypoxic state is taking place. He wants you to talk a little bit about how you might translate overcoming hitting the wall. Like you're having to hit the wall and go through that wall. You're moving into hypoxia, and which is lack of oxygen, and increase of, is it not carbon dioxide in the body? Yeah. So how do you use that? How can we use something like that to be able to, you know, how does that support you in maintaining discipline in your tasks during the day, and particularly how could you use something like that to maintain discipline in work tasks, for example?
Sure, yeah, it's a good question as well. So I feel like there is a huge amount of utility in developing those kind of capacities and skills, and yeah, capacity for endurance in a sport like swimming or freediving or anything else, because that can then cross over and translate to other aspects of your life, whether it's work or family life or anything. I feel like the way it does that is that it imbues you with confidence in yourself, so that you know that if you can push through the boundary in training, you can swim, I don't know, 10 kilometers in one session, or you can dive to this depth, or you can run a marathon in 3 hours, or whatever it is, then yeah, it imbues you with that confidence and belief in yourself, especially when to get back to goal setting, when we set a goal for ourselves and we achieve it, then there's the opposite to the death spiral. You get that positive feedback loop. So it gives you more confidence, more belief in yourself, so that you'll then set other maybe more difficult goals, and achieving those, and it builds up your confidence in that way. So I feel like all the disciplines of all the parts of our life, whether it's sport or work or family life, can feed the other parts if we are using that kind of process of setting goals, achieving them, and developing our confidence in ourselves.
Excellent, mate. Excellent. So look, we're coming to the end of an extended interview today. So William, thank you so much. Let's find out from you. Look, where can people find you? I know that you've authored a book. What was the name of your book? Where can they get your book? And also, where can they find you in the media world?
Sure, yeah. So the book is called just Oxygen. It's available on Amazon. I think you can order it for Kindle, and then the hard copy is a little more difficult to get hold of, but it's there somewhere. And online, I'm just williamtrubridge.com or Will Trubridge on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, I think.
Great stuff. And we hope that the Bahamas is going to be opening up soon so that you can start your freediving courses again,
Mm-hmm.
William holds amazing freediving courses, and I was down there a couple of years ago, and in the first session, he taught me to hold my breath for over 4 minutes. Incredible. So you can learn to hold your breath, have an amazing experience in the Bahamas. So I highly recommend William's amazing courses. Are they on verticalblue.net, or where's?
That's verticalblue.net, yes.
Yep, excellent stuff. All right, William, thank you so much for sharing today, mate. Much appreciated.
It's been good to talk. Cheers, Tim.
Bye for now, mate.